Welcome to the Creative Entrepreneur Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey Rosh, happy to be here. We are two creative guys talking AI, and I got a couple more jumping points from what we talked about last week. First of all, I am still thankful for AI, and I want to tell all of our listeners and everyone just all the ways I incorporated it into my Thanksgiving Day plans.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. And then I did even more with Runway. I played with the expand, extend feature. I have a whole bunch of feedback. I can't wait to talk about it because some of it was really darn good and some of it wasn't. So I'm excited to get into those details. So
Well,
what do
good.
you have going?
Hey, I'm excited to hear about your runway experience. The thing is, they have so much there. I was just going through it
Mhm.
actually this morning, and there's so many tools there that again, you could have a show just on that. Just
Right.
kind of like people who have, shows about Adobe, or Photoshop or whatever. This is a tool that's worth your time to take a look
Yeah.
at. So
It's
looking
becoming a
forward
bigger
to,
and bigger player in the AI world for sure. And I'm hearing more and more about it for good reasons. So yeah, I'm excited
yeah,
to talk about that.
absolutely. So I want to talk about SEO and GEO. Looking into 2025, I actually engage with the AIs. I've been talking with them. I've been writing with them, talking about what we need to consider moving forward in search. And I have some ideas on that. Then I just want to talk about some of the things that I've done with AI, a new tool that's available on Perplexity, as well as some other things that I have done. I think those segments are nice when we just talk about the everyday stuff that we do with it.
Perfect. Well, yeah, speaking of the everyday stuff, what we do with it. So, this year for Thanksgiving, I'm very happy to say that my mom from Connecticut actually now lives across the street from us.
Hmm.
And we decided to divide and conquer this year for Thanksgiving and do the first holiday at her house. So, we ended up, making the turkey here. And, this year, normally when it comes to Thanksgiving, I kind of let, the rest of the family handle things. Maybe I'll pick up a pie or do something like that. And this year I was like, no, I want my three favorite things. And you know what? I'm going to make them myself. So it was some really good mashed potatoes. I did some deviled eggs and I did an apple crisp.
Hmm.
And so I did a little appetizer, the main, part of the entree, and a really good dessert. So, but there were a lot of things involved with this that, maybe my normal brain wouldn't have been able to handle, but I had Chat GPT to be my support in this. So, first of all, when on the planning stage of things, I let it know, my inventory of what I had going on, and it planned a full grocery shopping list
Easy for
for
you to
what it
say.
is. Yeah, exactly. For what it is that I needed based on my current inventory. And, again, I even asked it to help, organize the shopping list based on a Kroger's layout. So that's kind of
Hmm.
cool. Little trick and hack there. And so then also when it was time to prep, getting all the ingredients and, all the cooking suggestions. So, but also I wanted to factor in a few other caveats here. First, our oven was not going to be available at all Thanksgiving morning
Oh,
because we're cooking the turkey. So, that's 5 or 6 hours that that oven is kind of out of commission. And, it was even able to look back and say, hey, maybe you can make this meal the day before. Or maybe this one you could even make 2 days before and it'll stay fresh. And, sometimes this meal is even better the next day rather than fresh. And it was
good
suggestions that
statement.
I didn't even think about. And you know what? I had some time the few days before and sure enough, I went and I made the apple crisp the day before and had it ready to go. And because it wasn't so hot coming right out of the oven, when it was time to eat it, it had all meld together. It was all very good. And then what I thought was really cool is I had this recipe for a pretty large apple crisp. So they called I think for like 8 to 10 apples, and I
Hmm.
just didn't have a pan that big, so I only used 5 apples. And the original recipe, I think, like I said, it called for 8. So it just went and cut the whole recipe down 5/8
Nice.
without me, having to ask for it. So, things you
That
take for
that's a
granted.
interest. That's nice. I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people don't even think of
Yeah.
that you could do so easily. And
And
yeah, go
it was
ahead.
just a matter of asking the right question of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do the math here, and of course, things that were 1 cup are now 5/8 of a cup. But, some of the other ones that was, started at 3/4 of a cup or a half a teaspoon or something like that to get the exact 5/8 amount to, extrapolate it out. It's just, we've had recipes and we've had things that we could find online and different things like that for years and years. But these extra steps of planning and the thought that goes into it to really pull something like this off were things that I now ask the AI to help me
Right.
plan. And you know what? Humbly said, I nailed the landing. All three things were good. It
Nice.
was delicious. And then, the one of the biggest ones, it was really frustrating when you're making deviled eggs, of course, hard boiling eggs and getting those the shells not to stick.
Yeah.
And it gave me the best idea for it, where I put in a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of baking soda in the water. But then the real key was, as you're peeling them, after the cold water bath, to actually have it running under water to get
Okay.
water underneath the shell. And
Yeah.
boom, out of all the eggs that I made, every single shell came off perfect because of the AI strategy that I had.
You know,
So
yeah. I think one of the things with AI that we're really discovering and that I'm discovering is even with some of the stuff that I'll talk about in a few is that boy, we're asking questions we never thought to ask,
yeah,
or or questions we thought that we couldn't necessarily ask of the computer.
right.
I've asked so many things, like going into Google. You want to ask a question that's precise enough that somebody has written about it,
Right. Find
traditionally,
that answer. Yeah.
minus any kind of Gemini or AI stuff that's now coming up in Google. But the point being is that we have still limited ourselves through the
Mm-hmm.
years with how we ask and what we feel we can ask. When, my goodness, there's some really good time-saving questions out
Yeah.
there that we're starting to ask more and more.
Well, information used to be a one-way street when we were dealing with the internet.
Yes.
When we're dealing with another intelligent person,
Yeah.
information is a two-way street. And now that we're dealing with an artificial intelligence, we're back to it being a two-way street. And
Yeah.
that's why, people are, falling in love with their assistant to talk to.
Yeah.
And, because it's someone that, I've actually read things about, self-help or therapy and stuff, and people are like, yeah, I use Chat GPT as my therapist. And but if you
I should
think
really
about
focus on that AI coach.com
yeah,
that I have, or was
yeah,
it lifecoachai.com that I have?
yeah,
Really, can
yeah,
I charge 150, 200
yeah,
an hour
you
on
can.
that?
I mean, is something your HSA could pay for?
I don't know. I'll look into that.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so yeah, back your way. SEO, GEO. What's going on in
So
2025?
yeah, SEO, search engine optimization and generative engine optimization, or yeah, really, we've been going back and forth if it's GEO, and I see GEO more and
Hmm.
more. We talked about this a while ago when it was just coming out, and it seems to have taken a life of its own. Some people will say AI SEO, but GEO seems to be holding on. And I've been really digging in with the AIs in terms of what do they see. Now, obviously, some of the feedback that they give me, I know is just traditional SEO stuff that I think they know where they got it from. But I've
Hmm.
been really digging and asking questions about what does it look for when it's trying to find information, because the bottom line in my world of search is, look, people have a problem. And my job is to help my clients be the solution to that
Hmm.
problem. Where do they search? Well, it's still 85, 90% Google. They go to Google. But more and more people are going to Gemini, Chat GPT, to Claude to ask questions. And sometimes the answer to the question is going to a a business. A business you need to hire somebody, you need to um, buy something somewhere very specific.
Hmm.
And so you still need to be able to be found by the AIs. So what are those things that you need to consider right now? Well, they still consider links. They still consider other websites with authority linking to your website important. That's still very high in the list. Schema, being able to develop schema, markup language within your website, very important. And if you don't know what that is, go to schema.org and you can get some information there. And getting more detailed with schema is very important. It's still the title of a page is extremely important. You need to start off that page with what is it about, because they do look at the H tags, and the H tag generally represents the size of the of the word, H1 being the largest two, and it goes down from there, H3,
Mhm.
H4. And so that's a hierarchy. And they do look at that hierarchy. And so if you have the title of the page as your number one thing, and then an H1 tag and two, so forth, that you can really give the AIs helpful clues as to what that page is about. And
Mhm.
internal linking is helpful. So a lot of the same stuff, if you really go through it, is still important and will still be important as we move forward with AI. But ultimately, you want to make it very easy. So on page is important. And right now, I think for Google, smaller pages, smaller links from a local blog, for example, may be valuable, but it may not be as valuable to the AIs. They're probably going to more look at the bigger websites, the bigger directories, and the Yelps and the Google My Businesses with links to your website for now. Maybe down the road they'll refine that, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. That Google is more refined, and we've talked about how Google offers more overall and a bigger experience, but it's going to change. Just because ChatGPT has search doesn't mean it's the best place to go, but people are going there and people are asking questions, and you want to be found when the answer is a local business. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned ChatGPT search. I actually had to ask it in a prompt the other day, hey, stop acting like your GPT search and actually be, Dolly and be the original things that you were, because it's actually changing the way that I interact with ChatGPT because it's starting to default now to its general web search mode rather than
Interesting.
the other one. Right. Yeah. So that's definitely developing and changing. And we've been talking about this for a while that the GEO is starting to look a little more of the reputation of your company,
Yeah.
but it's hurting the small companies who are trying to fight against the big box ones.
Yeah.
I've been starting to do some testing of my clients that on the social media side to see if they are showing up when they should be, of being the right company. And luckily a lot of the clients, we share, so they're doing the right SEO stuff
Mhm.
behind the scenes. I'm helping reputation side on the social side of things.
Right.
So it should
Which
be
is
that one.
super important, and it's becoming more important because those are the big websites that the AIs trust
Yeah, yeah,
or
and it's
use, if nothing
differentiating them.
else.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, we just gotta, I don't want to say keep up with the old tricks, but just, looking at what all the old tricks are and making sure that they still are working for GEO as we go forward is what I think is, super important.
Very good. All right, what do you got next?
All right, so Runway. Yes, so I played with Runway Extend. So for our audience, everyone listening, what Runway Extend does is it takes, say, a traditionally horizontal video and can actually make it vertical by adding extra above and below, and vice versa. If you have a vertical one, it can now make it wide. And it's doing this by analyzing what's in your current video and then making assumptions and leaps
Yeah,
towards, what's above or below. And so last week I talked and I gave its lip sync like a C minus or so.
right.
Um, for the extend, I'm in that B plus kind of world.
Okay, okay.
It impressed me. So I threw some difficult ones at it. And actually, I upload some of these in a Dropbox for you, Rosh. So that way we can put it up on our YouTube channel and show some of these examples to people in some shorts and stuff. But what I did was I took some footage from when my band had our debut show, which again, you were there. Thank you very much.
Yep,
Appreciate
yep.
that. And what it was is our GoPro footage. So it had pretty much, above the singer's head and then about halfway down his guitar. So you could see his arm moving, you could see half the guitar, and you could see the top half of it. So you can get the color and the style of the guitar. But then from there under, it actually had to fill in and do a lot because it's seeing his hand move, but the video didn't actually show his hand.
Mm.
So it was extrapolating his arm movement into his hand on a made up guitar.
Oh, wow.
And the pickups they weren't quite right
Yeah.
compared to the guitar that our lead singer was actually playing. The bridge didn't look quite right. It added this like mini drum set on the bottom right to like go behind like where our drum set was, and the branding on the drum set looked an awful lot like the Marshall branding on an amp.
Okay.
So there were a lot of figures that were a little bit misconstrued, but they were close enough to be dangerous, let's say. The guitar shape itself, what was cool is it was a starburst type design of guitar paint to where the outer is like a black, and then on the towards the inside of the guitar, it gradually actually just like this one over. This is a starburst design
Mhm.
on this one.
Okay.
So black on the edges and then, colored in the middle. And it only got to see a top portion of that. And it took that design and extrapolated that throughout the guitar. So that was really cool. But besides that, it kind of filled in some blanks of where the knobs are and different things like that. But for it to actually replicate his hand motion and have it look pretty natural was pretty cool. I was just like, all right, no, now we're off to a really good start here. Um, Above us, instead of it being, the ceiling, it noticed that we had lighting during the show. So there were all sorts of lasers and, stuff
Mhm.
floating around just to add a little excitement to the show. And in the video, it actually added the stage lights. So it
Mm.
added like stage lights on a set because it detected that there were stage lights and stuff happening. Now, none of our lights were above us. They were all on the ground and pointing up, but this runway extend just kind of took a liberty there and added some lights above us because it saw that there were lights happening. So, in those kind of ways, I was very impressed with its thinking, the way that its brain worked, and to be able to extrapolate what was happening. And, I wanted to give it something challenging here in this way. Other things that I noticed is that, like, say, my lead guitar player, he was in the background a little more and in the shot. So it added the most generic pants in the world and like the most orthopedic looking generic shoes in the world. But the way he was moving on stage, with his guitar and everything, the legs moved completely natural to
Mm.
where this it would have fooled me, Rosh, if I was, just looking through on social media and got hit with a vertical video. There's a lot of elements to it where it really got it well to where I couldn't differentiate where the original video ended and this one started.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, it's pretty good. And like I said, I shared a bunch with you. So just to continue on this a little bit, I put in another clip from rehearsal where I had another horizontal video. And this time I actually added into the prompts, hey, um, put, extend this up and down. And then the first iteration it did, it decided to again just put another mini drum set there. For no reason. So I was just like, okay, that's not quite right. And again, this is now in our rehearsal space. So there's a drop ceiling on the top part, and it extrapolated out the drop ceiling beautifully. So it understood the angle of the ceiling, and that, how like a camera shot on an angle is gonna
Right.
not show
The
us a
perspective. Yeah.
rectangular ceiling rectangularly. It's from
Right.
perspective. So it extrapolated the ceiling via perspective wonderfully. But on the floor, I kept saying, okay, I'm a guitar player. Don't put any drums by my feet. Put a pedal board down there. And every time I said to put a pedal board in, it ended up being like a synthesizer or a keyboard or a small amp. And the amp, again, it had a proclivity to put Marshall type branding on it. It
Right.
wouldn't spell Marshall right, but it's what it was trained on of what an amp looks
Yeah,
like.
it is exactly right. It's what it was turned off of
Yeah.
material it has.
Right. So I eventually was like, all right, put nothing by my feet, just continue my mic stand. But here's the one that I thought was cool because it showed again my feet, and my feet weren't in the original shot. So I started out with these really really bland, generic looking shoes. And I said, no, I'm wearing Adidas black and white shoes. And the first iteration I did with that command, the shoes were perfect.
Hmm. Okay. Nice.
Right. And it actually went into a brand, but it got, the those classic Adidas Superstar, kind of look with the three dashes down the side. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool that I can say, all right, the shoes that are on this person are this specific brand, this color combination, and it nailed that pretty well. So while it threw in some elements that were not quite right, altogether, I'm giving it a B plus here. Some things were passable and pretty darn good.
Very good. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed as we're talking, there's a lot of new features, the ability to keep consistency with people, and I'm really looking forward to playing with all the new updates and
Yeah.
tools within Runway. And really, so many of these platforms we've been talking about this last few weeks are just really up in their game so quickly. It's tough to keep up with
Right.
what you're able to do. So there are things you can do now that you didn't even think you wanted to do, you know. But
Yes,
the thing is, that's where the creativity comes in. When there are that many things
yeah,
to do, that means who's going to decide when you have a panel of 12 different actions, who's deciding which of those actions to take? You, me,
the
the
creative,
creative.
right?
And so that's going to give us more and more ability to let go of the mundane and just take creativity to new places that we haven't even thought of. And yeah, they'll say, well, that's AI. Yeah, but it took AI to do it, to get
Right.
us there.
The
And
way I
that's,
look at it is it's road racing before on our feet where we would run,
yeah,
and now it's auto racing
yeah,
where we're still racing, but now
yeah,
we're using this tool to its the most that you can. Is the way
yeah,
I kind of look at it. It's,
yeah,
good now.
yeah. So, so is that everything on your side?
Perfect. Yeah.
Actually,
Throw it back your
so,
way.
taking that theme, this last week I've been doing some levels of coding that I've never done before. And I know I keep saying this because it's true. And I've taken some APIs and started to develop things that I never thought I could or would before. I saw an interesting video the other day about hacking. Hacking is way up, by the way. And the reason is this is the dark side of it. And,
Yeah.
and no, I've not been hacking anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But
you
I
got a new
would
side
say that
hustle going.
you you probably and I'm sure I would like your feedback, you need to really protect your websites and your social from hacking,
Yes.
because not because there are more hackers, it's because, well, maybe because there are more hackers because anybody can do it just by asking AIs how to do it. And so the methods you may not even thought of are now available at your fingertips. And we won't discuss how to do it, and nor do I encourage you to try.
Right.
But it is, I'm just saying, protect yourself. And so, I mean, I guess I ask you before I go on with the things I've done, more things I've done this week. But how are you protecting your social clients with from hacking? Because
All
it's
right. Great. I'm so happy you asked me because this is something that's been really big in my world in the last year. Is every new client that we onboard, as soon as we start promoting stuff for them, and actually this has kind of stopped in the last couple months. I think Facebook finally fixed it. But the inbox messages that would come in from these bots that would say, you posted something that's against the community standards of
yeah, right,
Facebook, and we're going to depublish your page, and you need to click this link and go and fill, everything out. And
right,
I pretty much now it's part of my onboarding with my clients and say, hey, listen, as soon as we start promoting stuff, some of these messages are going to start coming in. Do not click these links
right,
because they are just trying to hack your information. But Rosh, this problem only started when AI and ChatGPT and all of these tools were open and available. So
right.
what I believe is there are AI programs where people are just opening up a billion Facebook accounts and just labeling them customer service and then putting 15 number digits behind it until they find one that's original and then opening up a new Facebook page with that. And then every one of these pages is then being automated to send outgoing messages to companies like my clients and to try to get people just to click these links and give up their information. So, that's been the biggest hacking effort that I've seen on the social side. And it's been really just in education with my clients. I don't want to shut down my clients' inboxes.
No.
Oftentimes, their inbox is where they're going to get a new lead or get a good connection with somebody who's interested in their service or product. So that would be counterproductive, but pretty much tell them, hey, you know, these messages are going to start coming in, but I am happy to announce, and I actually was talking with my wife and partner in this and say, hey, haven't you noticed that those quantity of these spam messages in the last couple of months has gone down drastically?
Yeah.
I used to get 15 to 20 a day on like a
Oh,
Sunday
wow.
while watching football or something
Yeah,
because, well, we
I know.
manage
I know
50
there was
plus.
one that we had a mutual client that was getting it continuously. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's certainly something we all, fishing is a big, that I mean that's the phishing scheme, but that's a big one, and I think we just all have to be a little more vigilant about our passwords and what we click on moving forward.
So
On a
test
happier
one, two,
note,
three doesn't work anymore. Test
no,
one,
it
two.
doesn't. Not the way you feel. Well, then maybe it was never any good. So over the weekend, my wife looked at me and said, "We need to make cookies," and I said, "You're right." And she said, "Oatmeal." And I said, "Great." She's like, "What's the recipe?" And of course, hello, Chat GPT.
Of
It's
course.
similar to
Yes.
your scenario.
Very
And so
good.
we made our first AI cookies over the weekend. They're pretty good. They're all gone, I might add. And so, yeah, I mean,
How
just
many bites? Oh,
yeah.
oh, I'm good. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
Dad joke alert.
Next week's show starring Rosh Sillars.
Woo. All right. Anyway.
So anyway, the shopping app on Perplexity, I use that, and because I need a snowblower. We're in Michigan, and snow is
Yeah.
a coming, and I have 3,000 square feet of new driveway that I need
Yeah.
to decide how I'm going to take care of. And so going back and forth, I found it to be a good experience. It was giving me some good options that I was not getting through Google. It was more in line with what I was really looking for in terms of options. So I felt pretty good with Perplexity, what it was doing, the back and forth of it. Some of it is very search related, like a Google kind of a look and feel, but it wants your feedback. How Google doesn't always necessarily ask you how is this search or what else could I do to refine this. It's you just search again. So this is more really customer focused, and I was very happy. I found some good options, and so I think this is heading in the right direction,
Mhm.
especially when people like you and I will have more access to these types of AI in different ways to advertise in those worlds. I mean, we're still going to have to do the GEO to be able to be found, and in Perplexity certainly is just like all of them. Google is still the big one, and it's going to be a while. People are still going to use, and a good percentage of people, about 40% of people, I believe in business it was the last statistic I saw, are using ChatGPT. Maybe you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
and
going up every day pretty much.
yeah, absolutely. So it is a factor, but I think we're just like anything, just like we have multiple socials, we're going to have multiple places, and every search engine or AI is just going to have its place. And one person's going to be a Dolly person, another person going to be a Runway person, another person going to be a Flux person, and you're going to have your main thing, and it's going to be spread out a little bit more. But it's going to be a while. I still think it's going to be a little longer than I expected for Google to be dethroned in a sense. So we're still going to have that. So, so shopping with the AI, I thought was good. I think it's going to get better, uh, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, I've actually used the Chat GPT search function to find exactly where to. So I had a problem with my mower, again, large yard problems.
Yeah,
We got a
yeah,
zero turn just like you. And I needed to put a whole new bearing in one of the assemblies to where the blades spin. And I got the full procedure of how to do it. And then I got the part number and everything. And then I was like, great, where do I buy this? And sure enough, it went right to the search function and brought me right where I needed to be. And I was like, okay, this is really getting cool now.
yeah,
And because then I said, all right, great, I can buy it here locally, but hey, find me a deal online where I can find this cheaper.
yeah,
And I mean, it didn't have an answer in that, but it tried. So
yeah,
that I thought was really cool. So yeah, we're definitely getting there. And yeah, search is going to be more of a customer service based two-way street than, rather than just the one way asking Google and getting what Google wants to tell you.
yeah. I mean, again, back to our theme earlier, we're going to start asking questions that we never thought to ask or dared to ask before. And just finishing up what I did over last week, again, I pulled in some APIs and started creating things that I, a year ago, 2 years ago, thought were well beyond my grasp, just because I was unwilling to take the time to learn either the code or the combination of things that needed to be done. And it's really simplifying these ideas and creating, and honestly, it's just creating new things. I'm just having so much fun creating
Yeah.
stuff that I never thought I could because I have access to these libraries of data and information that I can now combine and to create my own. And I want to kind of finish up with this last thought. I was thinking, you know what would be really cool is so I could get out there and I have hundreds of domains. Folks, I guess in the world of the internet often have a lot of domains, and I am certainly one of them. I thought, boy, if I could put in some basic features, tools on all many of these websites for search, and I realized, you know what? A basic tool isn't going to do it anymore. You really need to combine and create things that are new
Mhm.
in a way that an AI alone isn't just going to figure out. It's going to be your own unique blend of whatever it is you're creating.
Mhm.
And some of my side projects are kind of like that, and especially in the financial world. But whatever it may be, you're going to have to bring a little something different. You can't
Right.
be, for example, a mortgage calculator. Oh, well, first of all, that was oversaturated in the first place, but now it's going to be even more of that because you can literally just type in in ChatGPT, Claude, create a Python mortgage calculator for me that I can instantly paste into my WordPress doc. You just have to go beyond that.
Yeah, it takes the creative brain to make these disassociated connections and be like, what if this did that?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and so we're here to try to help, the people use the right AI tool to make that happen. Hey, did you hear about the AI agent who started its own LLC?
Yeah, I've heard of a few. I heard of the goat cult. Have you heard of that one?
No, no, maybe it's the same story, but
No,
yeah,
no,
go.
maybe not. No, there's been a few of them around. What details do you have on the LLC?
It was an actual AI agent. We've been
Yep.
talking about this term for some time, and it just went without prompting, without anything, went to the right website and filled out the right paperwork and registered itself an LLC.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so it's starting.
Yeah, no, there's a goat cult created by AIs, and
Now, this isn't the
I
Go cult you're currently a part of, right? This is a
no, no,
separate one.
no, no,
Oh,
not that one, not that one. Mine's a little more secret. No,
okay.
but the act and there's one that I guess they end up creating. I may be conflating a few stories together, but they created a meme coin for like altcoin, and actually the value's gone up to now. It was the very first AI millionaire or something like that. I mean, I know I'm throwing a few stories together, but it's amazing what they're doing. And I think this was in a somewhat controlled environment, but man, the things that you wonder what happens when they get let loose into your LLC point. If it
Right.
can do that out on the web, um, yeah, we have to be careful.
Yep, very good. All right. Well, we got a few more shows coming up this year, and we got some real big changes coming around the new year that we're super excited about. But still, if anybody has any topics, anything they want us to cover or go over, you hop on over to creativeentrepreneurshow.com, send us a message, an email, and we'll be happy to chat about those things.
Very good. So you've been listening to two creative guys talking AI at the creativeentrepreneurshow.com. Talk to you next week.
Have a good week.
All right.
All right, very good, very good.